Eccoci di nuovo in diretta dagli studi del cinema Aquila e siamo qui con Grant, direttamente dall'Australia, ma a Roma, bloccato per una situazione, ma grazie alla tecnologia possiamo continuare con le nostre conferenze. Quindi la conferenza di oggi sarà proprio sul lavoro che Grant ha svolto in Australia e sarà ovviamente in inglese. Chi non capisce l'inglese abbiamo il translation point da quel lato lì e quindi iniziamo. So welcome everybody from all over the world. We're here for the second conference of the day. We're here with Grant, straight from Australia and straight from home at the moment. So, Grant, if you want to introduce yourself and explain us about your work.
Okay, first of all, I'm actually in Italy and I'm so sorry. I was going to do this presentation in person. I'm just around the corner from the cinema, but I can't partake face-to-face because I have COVID. I just caught it last night and it knocked me for 6. So I'm actually in the apartment that the conference has put me in for the time that I'm here, and I'd just like to say thank you to Giulia and Mary and Nicolo, Francesca, all the people who have made this conference possible and to invite me here. I am Grant Saunders. I am an Aboriginal documentary filmmaker. Have been making films for a long time, since 2004, since I graduated film school. I am going to share with you my first film, which is a hip-hop film called Black. And before that, I just wanted to share with you one of my raps that I penned back in 2006, straight after my master's degree. That was a culmination of my thoughts as an MC, as an Indigenous MC in Australia, who couldn't get a platform because white Australian hip-hop was dominating the scene at that time. So Aboriginal hip-hop really wasn't heard on the radio. We didn't see it on TV, on music videos. The white Australian dominant culture really dominated hip-hop. So to understand Australian hip-hop, you really have to understand the culture of the country, and that we are still marginalized. We are still pushed to the periphery of society. However, that has changed. Things have changed for the better in the last 15 years. We do have more Indigenous hip-hop. So this song that I wrote really was my reflection at the time about hip-hop culture in Australia. So it goes like this. Much respect to Bex and Sir Recknick and the nameless MC step up to this mic and flex. Yes, maybe you got something to say in the spirit of Malcolm X. Malcolm X. He believed us blacks were enslaved by the colonization of the mind. Now it's about time I gave you mine. A piece of conscious rhyme break you out of the sublime crime. Commercial candy machine cream of the Aussie rap crop. The dream team. I got rhymes ready. Are you ready? To lop and drop your deeper politicized narcissistic plastic heads off. You think it's lyrical, logistical, it's a miracle. You can claim an inclusion to this hip-hop nation. Now I'm sick to death of my self-alienation. I gotta come out and say something that means shit, and it goes a little something like this. Hit it, Oh, wake up, Aussie, Aussie hip hop. Don't forget your true history. Wake up, you new kids on the block, because we been doing this since 1983. Wake up, all who think you hip hop. Don't forget your true history. Wake up, you new kids on the block, because we be doing this for eternity. Now, you can criticize me, pull apart my identity, say that I rap in a pro-Black American accent, but you missed the point because it's not about the delivery, it's about the content. And you thinking where your smile went, your fake ass soul shaking your ass. I got something fast and crass, I make you wish the power could last. Yeah, it's not about what you wear, how you fade your hair, how many syllables you can string between the decibels, or how crisp was the dope snare. That's about giving a fuck about your place in society, or wherever the dominant forces and discourses that keep you from unification. Yeah, they want the hip-hop nation to display adolescent, misogynistic, and weed and juice procrastination. When the NWA said fuck the police, every black man who felt the wealth handed down from the nightstick said, hell yeah, keep dropping the ballistics. And then the FBI, for the first time in musical history, turned on the moral majority to family-orientated political power leaders, media mitigated and stereotypical images, and venue operators to shut down the sound of the underground, exposing truth still yet to be found. And now the same thing exists here, Black fear. That's it. There's more verses, but that's a little bit too much now. It's so much better with a beat. Thank you. So I'll share my screen now. Thank you. I'll share my screen now and get into my research into Indigenous hip hop and its use as a social justice advocacy platform, I guess, is a way to describe it. So here we go again, entire screen, and allow, and you can see that now. So you can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to start with this legend, African Bambaataa, or BAM, and look, I have used Google Translate to translate things into Italian, but as you know, Google Translate isn't perfect, so excuse me if I've got some translations wrong. So, African Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation as the first to recognize the fifth. Sorry,
Grant?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, but we don't see. We only see the main screen of your computer.
Okay. So you want to see me?
Better. I will
so
here, so you can come back and just talk from your computer to explain. Yeah.
So, oh gosh, how do I do that now?
just stop the sharing of the screen.
Okay, stop sharing. And
just tell me what's the name of the file. It's just us?
Oh, yeah. No. Is it okay if I just talk to the pictures? And then you'll see me later for Q&A, or you really want to see me?
No,
Did you see the pictures?
We don't see the screen. We saw.
Oh, you don't see the screen.
We cannot see anything when you clicked on other windows. We didn't see it. Yeah.
So you don't see that?
No. So if you just tell me the name, is it just us?
What no, is it? No. This is my presentation. It's Prezi online, so it's like a PowerPoint type of thing. So it's not a website. Let me try and work this out again.
But you can share the link then. Share the link.
No.
You can put the link on the chat here.
Right. How about just let me try so you can split the screen, can't you? Like you can share the presentation and yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So system music and So should I share the entire screen?
Yes, share the entire screen, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try again.
Okie dokie. So can you see that?
No. Now we still see the Google Meet.
So you don't see sharing your entire screen. Oh, that's weird.
You don't want to share the link of Prezi and we show it?
It'll be really difficult because there's a lot of navigation to do.
Yeah, but
we could try. We could try.
Yeah. Let's try.
Oh, wait up. No, that's the thing. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, you have to close presenting, stop presenting.
Okay. Oh gosh. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you have to log in though or something. I just don't understand why you can't see it. It's because I'm sharing the entire screen. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know either, actually. Normally it should work. There's some preventing from showing anything else but the Google Meet, basically. Yeah. Can we do it without the presentation?
Okay.
I mean,
how about, yeah. Okay.
If you need it as a base for your speech.
Let me just, I sort of do. I'll just try it one more time and then, yeah, we'll just go to the film. Otherwise, this will go on forever.
Yeah, it freezes. When you present, then it freezes. I see your mouse moving.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just okay. I'll go back to me, and that's a shame because I spent a lot of time getting that together. All right. So let's talk about African Bambaataa. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's good.
Come out from the presenting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
Okay, great.
Okay. Oh, technology. All right. So a researcher, Shakrun, says that knowledge. So we know that the fifth element, we talk about it more now these days. You know, before that, we were familiar with the four elements of breaking, emceeing, DJing, and graffiti. But knowledge is something that African Bambaataa said, you know, when he coined hip hop in the beginning, right back, like far back in the early 80s. So he talked about knowledge as the key to gluing the four elements together. So Shakrun says it is the glue that holds the artistic elements within the context of hip hop. Without knowledge, a person who can rap will never be an MC. A person who can mix records on a turntable can never be considered a DJ. Or she doesn't have knowledge. If he or she doesn't have knowledge, spinning on your head without possessing knowledge only makes you capable of getting dizzy. Tagging the walls without knowledge is just vandalism. So I just, a brief introduction to myself. I have practiced the art of hip hop as a writer, producer, and performer. ever since I was first introduced to hip hop in the early 1980s. So I am 52 years old now, and I've been a lover of hip hop ever since. So it was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's song, The Message, Don't Push Me Because I'm Close to the Edge, that one. That was the one that really turned me on. And it was when breaking hit Australia, that was the more commercial element. And there were even TV commercials selling Coke and using breaking as a way to promote these products. So in the beginning, it was the breaking element that me and my friends and cousins, we were 13 years old at the time, we cottoned onto that. We played the VHS tapes back and forwards. We paused, we rewound, until we learnt the moves. You know, there were VHS tapes that were shared amongst the group. So we record something on TV, then we take it away and we'd learn all these moves. So it was that element that really got me, and it was the films Beat Street, even Flashdance, Breaking and Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. They were the time. That was a time when we saw Black and brown people in an empowering light. So apart from Sesame Street, which is a children's show, I don't know if you got that in Italy, it was, you know, you saw Black and brown people on there, but you didn't see anything else in the early 80s as far as representation of African American or Indigenous Australians. So when we saw these films, it was like, yes, we resonated with that. These people were telling our stories in that we could understand, and to see people empowered really empowered us at the same time. So as much as I liked breakdance, it was the rap element that really got me. And it was the message, it was Run DMC. It was the first commercial hip hop again. It was Run DMC, it was the Fat Boys. But then I got introduced to NWA in the late 80s after I finished school. And that is the thing that really cemented my love of hip hop, because it was the first really hard-hitting, conscious street narrative that was really speaking to our communities. So in my research project, which is a creative doctorate, so 70% of that was creating a film documentary, which we'll see excerpts of very soon, because it hasn't been cleared. Doing music videos is really difficult without funding because the licensing is so expensive, music licensing. Even though the people who featured in my film, local, Indigenous, and culturally and linguistically diverse, or what you might call ethnic rappers, they have allowed me to use their film clips and their music for nothing, which is really generous. But there's other music that I need to clear. So it's very difficult for documentary filmmakers in our country because it's so competitive. There are a lot of filmmakers who are vying for funding to make their films, and there's not too much funding available. And that's why we have a crowd funding site, which I'll share with you later. But 70% of the thesis is that creative production, and 30%, which is the written form, is talking about the creative work and the choices that are made. So when a scholar starts their research project, they need to establish a theoretical framework. So this is what they call creative-led research and research-led creativity or practice. But underpinning that is also Indigenous paradigm. So the way that we view the world. So that is a theoretical framework that underpins my research. So it's about reciprocity, giving back to the community, making sure that there's respect shared between me as the researcher and them as the informant. We have conversational dialogue rather than a typical researcher who will have a list of questions and the informant or the participant in the research will answer those questions. So rather than that, as an auto-ethnographer, so typical ethnography is studying a culture objectively, right? So as an outsider looking into a culture and not placing themselves in the research, whereas autoethnography is autobiography smashed with ethnography, so that myself as an Indigenous MC who has also been involved in the social justice movement for a very, very, very long time, over 30 years since my first job working in social justice and child protection in this country. So it admits subjectivity. It does not purport to say that I am objective. I am an objective observer of a culture. I am a part of the research. I am as much an informant as my informants are, and my informants are as just as much a researcher as I am, if that makes sense. So it's shared knowledge. So we get into conversations. And what I've found is, as a documentary filmmaker, when you use that technique of conversational interviews, the interviewee, the person who is taking part in the film, is much more relaxed. They feel like there is a rapport between me and them. There is a shared knowledge and experience that we can bounce off. Like the ideas that I have could be similar and different to the ideas that my research participants have. So I think it's you get more in-depth reactions or participation.
Okay, Grant, let me try
Yes.
for the people here. You hear me, right? Allora, Grant ha iniziato a vedere ha iniziato a vedere le prime, diciamo, elementi dell'hip hop, è stato effettivamente breaking attraverso degli spot pubblicitari per vendere dei prodotti, per esempio Coca-Cola, eccetera. E aveva solo 13 anni quando ha iniziato a vedere queste immagini suggestive. Successivamente ha visto anche un film che si chiama Sesame Street, che è stato uno dei primi film appunto che lo hanno comunque ispirato. E lui viene anche dal breaking, ma quello che veramente lo ha rapito è stato il rap. Quindi è veramente l'elemento che più lo affascina e in cui si esercita di più. e il rap appunto anche questo l'ha scoperto tramite spot pubblicitari, prima Run DMC e poi veramente l'exploit con NWA perché parlavano proprio di tematiche in cui lui si rivedeva tantissimo. Lui fa lavoro di ricerca principalmente documentaristico e dice che il 70% del lavoro è appunto il lavoro creativo, di documentaristico e il 30% invece lo dedica a parlare di questo lavoro attraverso dei dialoghi. Realizzare dei video musicali in Australia è molto costoso, quindi anche per questo si dedica al documentario, anche se anche il documentario è difficile come mercato in Australia perché è molto competitivo. Perché i fondi sono pochi e le proposte che ogni anno arrivano sono tante. Per questo infatti lui ha creato anche un crowdfunding del quale condividerà il link. E nel suo lavoro, diciamo, le sue prerogative sono la reciprocità, e quindi cercare sempre di restituire alla comunità, cercare di fare sempre un lavoro di scambio, e usa tra virgolette la tecnica, diciamo, l'intervista non diretta, ma appunto attraverso proprio dei veri e propri dialoghi. Quindi è così che lui raccoglie effettivamente le informazioni dalle persone che intervista e dice che questo è un modo anche perché le persone si sentono molto più rilassate a condividere e più serene, più sciolte. E lui si definisce un autoetnografo, quindi a differenza dell'etnografo che diciamo per disciplina deve cercare di essere obiettivo, quindi deve essere un corpo estraneo, esterno all'ambiente, al gruppo che sta studiando. Lui invece riconosce anche il suo posizionamento come parte del suo oggetto stesso di ricerca e oh, you made it. You made it.
I can't hear you.
You made it.
Yes.
Scusate.
Oh my God.
Cosa ti stavo dicendo? Sì, e quindi lui, in quanto MC indigeno, che è sempre stato coinvolto nella giustizia sociale, non può non sentirsi quindi coinvolto nel suo oggetto di ricerca. Quindi lui è parte della ricerca, è anche soggetto, oltre che oggetto della ricerca, e i suoi intervistati e intervistate, anche loro sono allo stesso tempo ricercatori, ma anche oggetto di ricerca. Quindi eccoci qua. Ok, I'm done. Let's go.
Yeah.
You made it.
Oh
We
my
can
God.
see it now.
So, let's see. Well, it doesn't seem to be okay. Did that stuff it up?
It's on the first page.
Yeah.
Are you
Am I moving it?
No, we don't see.
Sorry. I think we should get into the film. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's play Black. This is like I said, this is the first film I made in 2006. Now, the purpose of this film was to feature this artist that just did not get the recognition that I believe he deserved. And so I wanted to make a film that really highlighted how skillful he was as an MC, and also let Aussie hip hop know that we have a voice and we've had a voice for a very long time. So this film is called Black, which is an acronym that stands for Born Long Ago Creations Keeper. And it's really a portrait of YRMC's song. So here it goes.
Ok, quindi appunto adesso proiettiamo il film Black, cioè il trailer, che è effettivamente è un acronimo di Born Long Ago Creation Skipper, quindi come si può dire, i custodi delle creazioni nati tanto tempo fa. We're gonna show just like 5 minutes, okay? And then
Okay.
people can watch the rest, yeah? So you
Sure.
can...
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Black, what does it mean for me to be black? How does it feel for me to be black? What does it mean for me to be black? It's like that. Black, what does it mean for me to be black? How does it feel for me to be black? What does it mean for me to be black? Born long ago, creation's keeper.
Black, what does it mean to me, Grant Lee? First thing that spoke to me was Run DMC. I'm proud to be black, y'all, and that's a fact, y'all. But I wasn't black, I was born white. Blonde hair, fair-skinned, and blue-eyed. I felt like a fake, tried to escape. My culture, my language, all being shaped by white society. Now here I am, proud of my blackness and to introduce my friend. But in fact, we don't know each other, but I'll still call him my brother.
Check one, my name's Will Jarrett, also known as YRMC, from Gombangwi, North Coast. There are many reasons why I chose the name Wire. First and foremost, I think the main philosophy behind my name is I am the wire, I am the boundary, I set my own fence lines, and only I will cross them.
Understand the brother now, understand the brother now, understand the brother now, understand the brother now.
And people out there like to say, hey, you're pretty well spoken, you're pretty well read, you're an exception to the rule. And I go, you're just a fool, I am the rule. It's your society that's the exception to our pages. We're characters in the wrong book. So I have to make sure that I write my own chapters in this story.
So how long can they silence the violent facts about what really happened to the black? Step back as I come on the attack. Yeah, you know this ain't racial, I'm just searching for the facts. The truth, the proof is kept under the roof of the National Archives, but they won't let me through. So, like a spy, I'm outside waiting. Soon I'll stop my infiltrating, gathering inside information. That's right, I'm a black secret agent, shining my pen light on my nation's dark side. I hold my head high, even though I wanna cry about past atrocities committed on me and mine. It's been a long time, when will they pay for these crimes? Over 200 years, too many dead. My sacred soil stained deep blood red. But how many more tears must a brother shed before he gets his message going right through your head? Black, that's what it means for me to be black. That's how it feels for me to be black. That's what it means.
When I'm on the mic and the crowd's looking at me, they're not just looking at me, they're looking at Black Australia. They don't see me as an individual. I can't represent all Aboriginal people. I know this personally, but when I'm on the mic, all I see is every black man.
Black, what makes me black? Not just my skin color. For even the blackest brother can be white. Black is a thought process, for me a way of life. To be black is to be free. Free from the heart, free from the head. Free to take that man for what he is. Free to choose and make.
My brothers and sisters were all different shades. And you've got to see it in a family photo to see the difference. So you can't hide your Aboriginality when you've got a multicoloured family.
My father shaped the man I am today, and his father made it that way. His shame was my shame, hidden under a veil, like white words on black pages. Our black grounds prevailed.
It's harder growing up as a fair-skinned Aboriginal because you see and hear all the racism, and when a black face comes on the scene, they change, and they hide their feelings more.
I couldn't go to school like in Taree, account of my skin, you know, colour skin, because, you know, they didn't like raciest town those days, you know. They didn't like black fellas, you know, going into from over the mission here, Fairfleet Mission, and going into town. They didn't like us in there, you know. So, oh, here's all the bungs coming. Here's all the bungs, you know. They call us bungs, Aboriginal bungs, and Aboriginal lubras, women, you know. They said they'd talk to us, and then the fight would start in the town, you know. We'd be knocking these white kids over everywhere, you know.
It's quite funny when you walk into a bar and like people look at you and are like, hey, there's a black man, what's he doing here? Grab your handbag tight. And they all pay me no attention. Well, pretend they're not really paying me any attention. And then they don't want shit to do with a brother. But as soon as you get up there and you're on the mic and you go like, yeah, I'm a proud black man with the mic in my hand, here I come again, telling you what it's like. They're all about you. And then I have this emotional conflict.
Black, what does it mean for me to be black? How does it feel for me?
And I think it might be the internet connection here. I think that's what the issue is. But anyway, so maybe some people have questions at this stage. I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Ok, qualcuno ha qualche domanda per Grant? Anybody has questions? Magari traduco anche qualcosina del video che avete visto, che appunto ha realizzato Grant con il suo compagno, appunto Wire, che abbiamo visto, e ha intervistato anche suo padre, che ha raccontato appunto il fatto che nella famiglia ci sono comunque delle ascendenze aborigene, e che però appunto lui è nato biondo con gli occhi azzurri, quindi non si nota la sua discendenza, e quindi per questo ci ha fatto questo video per discutere un po' di questa questione anche da un punto di vista. I'm translating the video, no worries. E quindi ha realizzato questa canzone che avete sentito, e ne avete sentito un pezzo anche all'inizio, in cui appunto discute su questo aspetto identitario. Wire nel video dice: è strano per me perché quando salgo sul palco tutti mi acclamano e mi rispettano, e poi scendo dal palco e per strada eccetera sono costantemente stigmatizzato, discriminato, e per me questa dualità veramente è incomprensibile. E il papà dice appunto che nella famiglia ci sono persone aborigene, che però appunto è quasi ironico, diciamo, perché non notandosi le persone si permettono di fare un sacco di commenti negativi sulle persone aborigene in presenza di Grant o di suo padre, e però invece se invece è presente una persona comunque più visibilmente nera, allora i commenti sono molto diversi, nel senso si trattengono un po' da dire alcune cose negative. Quindi anche lì è un po' come appunto vedersi e avere uno sguardo appunto esterno e dall'interno allo stesso momento. Quindi a questo punto abbiamo domande, curiosità, commenti? Lo so, no, ma perché sto traducendo. Sì. Domande, commenti?
Cosa negli anni la situazione con gli aborigeni in Australia? Se ho visto un cambiamento in meglio, in peggio?
Okay, and the question is, how did the situation in Australia with Aboriginal people developed or did not develop? So how did it change throughout the year? Did you notice any changes in good, bad?
In the hip hop scene, you mean?
In general society.
Oh, okay. So yeah, things on the surface seem, to be getting better. In certain facets of society, there are aspects, like education. So we have better access to education today. My father grew up in a time where Aboriginal people weren't allowed to go to mainstream school. Him and his generation were the first ever to go into a public school system. So that was the 1950s, right? So we have progressed a long way since that time. So I myself, in my family, was the first to get the highest education at high school level. And then from there, other generations underneath me, not just in my family, but other families. And I'm just talking about my local area, but this is a generalization across many jurisdictions across Australia, is that things have progressed. What I see is a bit of a problem is that people who were left behind, Aboriginal people who stayed on the mission reserve, so on the outskirts of town, while my father's family were forced to integrate into white society. And this happened everywhere. So certain Aboriginal people, usually of fair skin, so not dark Aboriginal people who would comply with assimilating into white society, they benefited in some ways, but there are many Aboriginal people living in remote communities where there is no running water, there is no fresh drinkable water. There are Aboriginal people in these communities that are generationally uneducated. They don't have the same power that myself and other Indigenous people have. They don't have, I've missed the word, agency. Agency. So we know the system. We've been working the system for a long time, and not just to our own benefit, but the benefit of all Aboriginal people. But still, we have Aboriginal people who are generationally unemployed, uneducated, living in squalor, like overcrowded houses, for instance. The other big problem is that
Dunque, nel frattempo ripristiniamo la connessione, traduciamo quello che stava dicendo. La domanda era appunto se ha notato dei cambiamenti nella situazione delle persone aborigene in generale nella società col passare degli anni. E lui dice che assolutamente ci sono dei miglioramenti, perché per esempio dal punto di vista dell'educazione fino agli anni 60 le persone aborigene non potevano andare in una scuola pubblica, non potevano frequentare una scuola pubblica. Invece il suo papà è stata la prima generazione di aborigeni che sono stati ammessi appunto nelle scuole pubbliche. E lui, per esempio, Grant è stato il primo invece a raggiungere un grado di educazione più alto, quindi l'università. Quindi ci sono dei miglioramenti, ma allo stesso tempo ci sono ancora tantissime cose da fare. E per esempio le persone appunto come Grant e altre che hanno comunque la pelle chiara o comunque dei tratti che non sempre sono riconducibili all'aborigeno godono molto di questo privilegio di poter, diciamo, passare per bianchi e quindi non essere, diciamo, discriminati o emarginati. Ma ci sono ancora tantissime persone aborigene che vivono in luoghi remoti e non hanno accesso all'acqua potabile neanche, e soprattutto c'è molta analfabetizzazione, grazie, zazione e anche agency, cioè la capacità di decidere cosa fare della tua vita, se vuoi appunto studiare, lavorare, eccetera, perché se non hai appunto anche solo una base educativa o comunque accesso a diciamo sì, una base, una cultura generale, chiamiamola così, non sai anche un po' che opportunità cogliere della vita, eccetera, eccetera. Quindi questo era il discorso che stavamo facendo. Adesso proveremo a ripristinare la connessione.
to Parliament, a lot of Aboriginal people find as symbolic that it won't really achieve anything. What we really need to achieve is to address the highest incarceration rates of a people in the world. We make 3%, just less than 3% of the overall Australian population. Yet, on average, we represent 33% of the prison population. In the Northern Territory, it is even worse. A few years ago, we had 100% Indigenous people in incarceration. In Western Australia, it's 40%. In juvenile detention in New South Wales, we have 50%. This is not because Aboriginal people are just inherently bad. This is a part of the colonial project. This is a part of keeping a disenfranchised people, disenfranchised, powerless, to be self-determining. That is what we want. We want land rights. We want the incarceration rates to be addressed, and that can be through many criminal justice reforms. One really important thing is that police and corrective service officers, prison guards, need to be made accountable for their crimes against Aboriginal people, and I'm talking about murder. I'm talking about Aboriginal people who have been murdered in custody, deaths in custody. There were 339 deaths, Aboriginal deaths in custody, that were reported in 1991 in the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. Now, symbolically, the people who researched and came up with that data to find out what was going on came up with 339 recommendations. Now, those recommendations included a whole bunch of criminal justice reforms. But the 339th recommendation that came out of that Royal Commission was to set up a council for Aboriginal reconciliation, which to a lot of Aboriginal people, including myself, is all a little bit warm and fuzzy. It's all a little bit fluffy, you know? It makes us all feel good. Same thing with the voice to Parliament. We feel like, oh, we're doing something great for Aboriginal people. We're giving them a voice. We've had a voice ever since colonial rule. We've been fighting and demanding justice ever since the first frontiers. And we have made inroads, yes. But it's a little bit like African America, where you have a division in class within society. You have a burgeoning middle class of Black people who move away from the ghetto, and the ghetto houses people who are still disenfranchised. That is similar to what we have in our country. You have an elected representative voice who are all very well off. They're doing quite well, okay? They are our representative voice. There are people who are being left behind, and that's all I'll say. Things are getting better, yes, on the surface, but there's a lot that still needs to be done. I want you to play the other clips if you can, because it's a film festival. You guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's translate.
If you've got time. I'm
One
sorry
for you. I have a question. Well, very related to this one. I translate and then I get to the last question, and then we need to close, unfortunately, because then we have the other conferences. But we will screen your movies in the downstairs and on the website. Ok. Chiudi tu qua, chiudo io qua. Ok. Allora, che stavamo dicendo? Sì. Dunque, c'è l'idea di fare un referendum per creare un tavolo di consulenza in sede al Parlamento composto da aborigeni eletti, ma molte persone aborigene, comprese Grant, sono contro questa iniziativa perché sembra qualcosa di molto simbolico. E soprattutto l'Australia è l'unico paese del Commonwealth, quindi delle ex colonie britanniche, che non ha mai redatto un effettivo trattato di indipendenza e di ristipulazione, diciamo, dei termini dopo la colonizzazione con la Gran Bretagna. Quindi questo ha influito tantissimo anche sulla situazione che attraversano adesso le persone aborigene di assoluta marginalizzazione sistemica. Soprattutto, per esempio, c'è un altissimo tasso di incarcerazione. Gli aborigeni rappresentano solo il 3% della popolazione totale dell'Australia, ma a livello di presenza demografica carceraria rappresentano il 33% in tutta l'Australia. Se guardiamo solo i territori del nord, ancora peggio, perché si è arrivati anche al 100% di presenza di indigeni in carcere. Nel west, nell'ovest appunto sono il 40%, nelle carceri giovanili sono il 50%, quindi questo non vuol dire che gli aborigeni sono inerentemente criminali o appunto criminali per natura, ma che appunto c'è un discorso di sistemicità, di marginalizzazione, come diciamo prima, di accesso ai diritti basici che porta poi a tutta una serie di conseguenze. E quello che invece bisognerebbe fare, più che fare un tavolo appunto simbolico, gli aborigeni chiedono delle riforme strutturali del sistema del paese, per esempio sulla questione della polizia, che non viene mai messa a confrontarsi con la giustizia quando commette atti di violenza, fino anche a vere e proprie uccisioni di massa. Praticamente degli aborigeni se ne contano 339 nel 91 e, come diciamo, spesso rimangono impuniti, o forse sempre. Poi appunto ha parlato anche degli Stati Uniti, dove c'è anche una situazione molto simile. Tra l'altro vi consiglio il film 13, lo trovate su Netflix, che parla proprio di questo, e in cui appunto c'è una situazione di differenza di classe adesso che si sta insinuando nella questione, e quindi si è creata una classe, diciamo, medio borghese aborigena, come si è creata appunto per gli afroamericani, che però un po' si distanzia dalla questione, dalla causa, e quindi da una parte hanno acquisito comunque un ruolo di potere o comunque di più autorevolezza, ma non lo stanno usando per cercare di portare più luce sulla causa, per cercare di fare emancipare tutta la comunità e distribuire, diciamo, i diritti a tutta la comunità e garantire gli accessi alle cose basiche, ai diritti basici. So I have one last question for you, and it's related to this one because here in Italy, for example, the hip hop scene is predominantly white. Oh, you don't hear me?
No.
Okay. Hello? Why you don't hear me now? Oh my God. What happened? You don't hear me? Hello, hello? Check, check.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear
Yeah?
you. You don't hear
I
me?
can't hear you. I don't know why.
What happened?
Mm.
I tried to refresh. Fatto, no? Infatti quello è streaming. Can you hear me now? Yeah, no, ho mutato qualcosa.
If you can hear me, maybe just play and then maybe it'll fix itself.
I hear you, but I think you did your audio system. Maybe. Okay. Okay, let me try to fix. Okay, I will play. Bene, ma non mi
Oh my goodness. Oh dear.
All right, guys, you're on Candy Camera. It was a whole joke. We wanted to see if you actually concentrated. Anyways, so my question is,
Yeah.
come faccio? La faccio prima lui e poi la faccio? Ok. My question is related to what you were saying, because the hip hop scene in Italy is predominantly white. We do have children of immigrants, especially who came even 40, 50 years ago, and we're always active actually in the scene, but very much underground, so not really in a spotlight. And now also with trap, hip hop became sort of mainstream, but it's still very much white, the scene. And even the majors, they support white artists. They don't finance black artists, black emerging artists. So I wanted to know what's the scene like in Australia about this, how maybe also hip hop was for the community to unify, but have you succeeded also to bring it a bit out and on the spotlight, or tell me about it?
Yeah. So yes, the representation of Aboriginal and ethnic minority groups in hip hop has changed big time for the better in the last 14 or so years. So before that, it was predominantly white Australian, and there was actually two separate communities. So there would be Indigenous and multicultural events where you would see Black and brown people performing, but the mainstream stages, the big events, the big money makers where, artists are actually being looked after, the record companies were all favouring white Australian hip hop. That has changed in over a decade, and that I think is because the advent of social media and also the access to production equipment. So back in the early 2000s, for an artist to make something out of their art form, they would need to get signed to a label, and have money to record an album, and then be able to have an A&R representative, manager, who would put them forward into the public radio, mainstream radio, on TV. So now we have better access to recording equipment, so people are becoming popular through their YouTube, through Spotify, through SoundCloud, and so that has helped to break a lot of people. But also, there's been a shift in thinking amongst young people. Triple J is the national broadcaster and the national public broadcaster in Australia on the ABC network, a youth radio platform. Now, they, I think, as well as well-known Australian hip-hop artists, have been responsible in gatekeeping, bringing these Indigenous and other ethnic minority groups with them, and those communities are starting to unify a lot more than what they did, which is fantastic. And the thing is that Aboriginal hip hoppers are dominating now, absolutely dominating the scene. You've got Baker Boy, you got Tasman Keith, who was the son of YRMC, who was featured in that first documentary. So he is he's traveling around the UK, doing shows around the UK as we speak. It's the first time he's ever boarded an international flight, and he is just kicking it. His style is a little trap, but it's more conscious trap. And there's Baker Boy, who's from the Northern Territory, and he raps in Yolngu language. So his music, his driving force is to make language popular amongst our young people using hip hop as that vehicle. So there's different, and I think this was also born from a number of different groups like Combat Wombat, who, Izzy Brown presented her film yesterday that was a documentary about rappers in Kenya. Well, her group, Combat Wombat's been around for like 30 years, and they have been instrumental, I guess, in promoting hip hop in rural and remote Aboriginal communities, and it's all about empowering. So I think it's a combination of all those factors that have led to this better representation of our people in hip hop now.
Thank you. I'll go to translation and then we go to close the
Yeah, sure.
Allora sì, gli ho fatto una domanda perché mi sono anche un po' allacciata alla domanda di prima e gli ho chiesto, visto che in Italia comunque la scena è dominata comunque da rapper bianchi un po' da sempre, anche se ci sono molti figli di immigrati neri che comunque fanno rap da parecchio tempo, ma sono sempre un po' underground e invece anche semplicemente le major investono molto di più sui rapper bianchi italiani. E quindi gli ho chiesto com'è la scena invece in Australia e dice che era così anche lì, era molto bianca fino a qualche decennio fa e vedevi solo eventi multiculturali in cui quindi si presentavano i vari rapper neri, aborigeni, eccetera, ma mai erano mainstream, mai nei grossi eventi e grossi festival venivano invitati. Invece, grazie a tutta una serie di fattori, adesso gli aborigeni dominano proprio la scena, gli aborigeni rapper. Quindi grazie ai social media, perché attraverso i social media, su YouTube, su Spotify, gli artisti si autopromuovono e quindi vengono conosciuti e diventano sempre più popolari, anche con un piccolo, diciamo, investimento, diciamo, quindi, e quindi hanno anche accesso più facilmente gli strumenti per finanziare appunto un mixer, uno studio, le prove in studio, un videoclip, eccetera, eccetera. Costa tutto molto meno, le telecamere, eccetera, eccetera. Costa meno e ovviamente hanno anche un welfare maggiore e quindi possono, diciamo, permettersi più cose. Negli anni 2000 appunto era super costoso fare un video o registrare una canzone in studio. E poi c'è anche la Triple J, che è diciamo, la Rai dell'Australia, quindi il canale nazionale di TV, che ha iniziato anche a mostrare queste persone e a cercare di creare questa fusione, diciamo, tra le varie comunità bianche, aborigene, eccetera, e indigene, e questo ha contribuito anche molto a proprio un modo di pensare che è cambiato, soprattutto tra i giovani. E per questo adesso abbiamo Baker Boy, per esempio, che fa rap, è del nord, e fa rap in lingua yongi. E usa la lingua, usa quindi il rap per diffondere questa lingua tra i giovani. Abbiamo Tasman King, che è tra l'altro il figlio di Wire, il rapper che avete visto nel video, che adesso proprio è in tour in UK, è la sua prima volta che fa un viaggio internazionale in Gran Bretagna, e lui fa trap ma con testi molto, diciamo, conscious, quindi diciamo consapevoli di contenuto, ecco. E poi ha citato anche Combat Bomba, che è questo gruppo di rapper in Kenya, di cui infatti c'è anche il video, e anche loro per esempio sono attivi da 30 anni e lavorano molto sull'empowerment. Bene, allora chiudo in italiano e poi salutiamo. Ce la possiamo fare. Allora, questa era la seconda conferenza. Io ringrazio tantissimo Grant anche per la disponibilità a collegarsi. Ringraziamo particolarmente la regia per essere riuscita a barcamenarsi con questi belli della diretta. E ci vediamo quindi alle 4:30 qui per l'ultima conferenza di questa edizione del festival, che è forse tra le più interessanti, Hip Hop Storia dell'Hip Hop, volume 3, perché appunto la facciamo ogni edizione. E ci vediamo stasera per le premiazioni alle 9. Tutti giù in sala proiezioni. Adesso salutiamo il nostro ospite, salutiamo a casa e grazie a tutti e tutte. So Grant, this is thank you very much again. Thank you for being so kind to be on screen, even if it was possible in person. Sorry for all the technical inconvenience. We'll do better next time. It's a promise.
That's okay. I'm hoping I come next year, and yeah.
Yes, maybe let's do an edition in Australia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Please take care.
No problem.
Your
Yeah.
health. And
Yeah. Thank you. Make sure you share the Spotify playlist and those other links that I shared. That's
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks so much, Julia, and everyone. Have a great festival and party on for tonight for me. I wanted to go and party.
We will send you pictures. Bye. Thank you.
Peace out.